we're going to talk about one of those elements that is important to our infrastructure, to transportation. Maybe not quite the one you think of with the potholes in the road, but another piece that here in the Upstate we know has been a struggle for a long time, and is something that there have been some good things happening, but it is something that is a challenge to get the momentum. So we asked two of our transit leaders from across the Upstate, Mark Rickards and Keith Scott, to give kind of a little overview around specifically transit. And so Mark's going to start, and then Keith's going to come up, and we thank both of you for being with us.
Thank you, and I know that's a tough act to follow, Governor Mayor Rendell, but being in the transit industry, I've always looked up to Pennsylvania. They're one of the biggest spenders in public transportation and transportation overall. So he's done a great job as I follow him through the years. So regional public transportation, my job is, I'm the director of GreenLink, which is the city of Greenville. We also are reaching out. We just basically are becoming a regional transit system. But the bottom line is the Upstate does not have a regional transit system. So what I'm going to talk about today is what we need to do, how we can possibly fund it, and moving forward from there. Because the bottom line is for transportation connections, we all live in our individual communities and cities in the Upstate, but we don't just center ourselves there and don't ever move. We cross communities every day. A good example, every time I go to the barbershop, I always get a different barber. I say, well, where do you live? Of course, I'm getting a haircut in Greenville, and they say Spartanburg. They say Boiling Springs. They say Anderson. They never say Greenville. So all the times that I'm dealing with workers, people with jobs, they don't live where they work. So, and our bus systems, our transit systems, basically, are where you work, where you live, but they don't go across the borders. So commuters, medical trips, shopping trips, education, they all cross geographic boundaries. And what we did in 2013, we started a public transportation connection connecting Clemson to Greenville. And this was a natural. It's been very successful. Our buses are full every day. So how many of you all knew that we have public transportation that connects the two areas? It's about 35 miles. So our standard bus route is 6 or 7 miles. But now we have commuter transportation. This is the first form of really regional public transportation that we've had. And also, we have the Anderson and Clemson. Our next speaker, Keith Scott, will talk a little bit about that. So we do have some intercity connections. Malton Simpsonville, we started that service in 2013. Now, this is a little 50,000 population suburban type areas just south of Greenville, but they're cities in themselves. They get their own federal funding. And now we connect Greenville to Malton Simpsonville with public transportation right down 276, the famous Golden Strip. Been very successful. We're also looking at Seneca to Clemson, is a very successful route that use Proterra buses that we all love to talk about. One of Greenville's hometown manufacturers. Next up on our list, the next year or two, we're planning to connect to Fountain Inn, which is the last stop on our Golden Strip, Malton Simpsonville. Travelers Rest, a wonderful community in North Greenville County, and of course Greer, which is just right outside here, home of BMW, border Spartanburg. But Greer does not have public transportation. Can you believe that? So we're working to get that connected. The public transportation to TSP, the airport where Governor Rendell is headed right now. We do not have public transportation. To be a first-class region, we need public transportation at the airport. I mean, if you come in, you're looking for ground transportation, yes, we have taxis, we have private cars, and we have good rental cars. Those are all good, but first-class communities, whether you're St. Louis, whether you're a small city like Nashville, you're going to have public transportation at the airport. And of course, connecting Greenville, Spartanburg, we don't touch public transportation. Spartanburg has their system, Greenville has theirs, but we can't get one to the other. Wow. 85 connects us, 29 connects us, but no public transportation. So we're working on that because the people are traveling back and forth every day. But only if you have a car can you make that connection. So we're looking to reach out. And of course, the last two of our small little cities, and I won't say little cities, are very important. Greenwood and Gaffney in the Upstate do not have public transportation as well. And we're looking to reach reach out for them, because we have people all the time. I was just down in Greenville a few weeks ago with 10 of the top folks, and they are very excited about the opportunity to come to Greenville for jobs, for shopping, and vice versa. So there's a lot of opportunity reaching out to these communities that are very important in South Carolina. Because what are the barriers? Well, it's funding, 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 funding. We always talk about that. Right now in South Carolina, in the Upstate, we have a lack of seed money to start new services. The federal money is good, but it only comes in on a reimbursement basis. You know, you build the highways, the money comes in after you're finished. It's the same with transit, except the problem is we don't have money to start the systems. We can't start the regional transit, even though the federal money may be there, the state money may be there after we complete it, but we just don't have that seed money. So we really need to get that going. I'll be talking with our legislators and our friends at SCDOT about that. Of course, the lack of state funds for expansion in regions. They fund the cities, they fund the urban transit system, but they don't fund the regional connections. So we need to think a little bit out of the box on that. And of course, localities, why, if I'm a locality, if I'm a mayor, I don't want to fund the system, service to another city. So it's just, that just won't work. So don't depend on the localities to set up these regional connections. They can play a part, and they'll share in the cost, but they don't want to fund it wholly. And of course, the regional planning fund is very important. We have some of that now, but again, it's based on urban or rural. It's really not a regional. And of course, the federal rural funding is out there, but it's mostly for highways. And of course, we always have a problem with local match or seed money. There's the public transportation advantage, and I want to talk a little bit about this. We all know about public transportation. And we have regional authorities already in place for governance. The Greenville Transit Authority was put in place in 1974 by the South Carolina legislature. Our chair is here, Pat Dilger, from GTA today. So it's already in place. The structure is there. It's not funded, but it's already in place. We have plenty of funding mechanisms out there, tried and true in other states to fund transit. And I'll talk about those on the next slide. But the investment, as Governor Rendell says, very important. Public transportation brings back just multiples of dollars in jobs and economic development. Companies come into South Carolina, they look, do we want to locate here? Yes, it's great weather, it's good tax base, but can we get the people to our site? And of course, that's very important to roads, but also they ask about public transportation, and it's factored into the equation. Development and technology. Did you all know that we have Wi-Fi on all of our buses? Well, Buick is advertising, hey, there's Wi-Fi on our cars now. We've had it for a while, folks, on our buses. So I'm really excited about the things. We have tracking systems now. You can go on your iPhone and pick out where our bus is at the exact time. We have that technology now. A lot of people don't know that. So it's really cost effective for the user. Our cost to go to Clemson is $3. That is, try taking a cab to Clemson for Greenville. It's not $3. So it's very cost effective. And by the way, the cost of owning, operating, maintaining an automobile in the United States now is about $8,000 to $9,000 a year. Well, transit, it's nowhere near that. Even if you're paying out of pocket, it's a fraction. And of course, air quality, congestion relief, safety. I mean, particularly air quality, there is zero emissions from the mobile source if you're on an electric bus. None. Greenhouse gas, we don't have to worry about. Congestion relief, well, every time somebody gets on the bus, that's one less car you have to worry about on 95. And of course, safety, the track record in public transportation. And you hear about those a bus accident or a train, but 30,000 people a year in automobiles, fatalities. We don't have numbers like that in public transportation at all. And of course, transit may not be for everyone, but it benefits everyone. And this is what I always preach, is a police department, a fire department. I don't use those, but I want them in my community for a good viable community. Of course, ways of fun, I won't go quickly through this, I'm not advocating any of this. I just want to put it out there that these are used across many other states. Vehicle registration fees, that's a state level, we raise money for regional transit. General sales tax, of course we know. Lottery, casino revenue. Lottery is used to fund senior citizen transportation in Pennsylvania. Of course, that's puberty education, which is a good thing. Vehicle leasing and rental fees. In Raleigh, North Carolina, Durham, they use rental car fees to fund the regional transit there. Helps tollway revenues. don't have a lot of toll roads here, but the Dulles Greenway in Virginia helps fund transit there. Parking fees and fines, Chattanooga basically funds our urban transit with parking fees. Realty transfer taxes and mortgage recording fees, state of Virginia, Commonwealth of Virginia added these in the recent conversion of the gas tax over. And hotel motel taxes, we actually do some of that in Greenville with accommodation taxes, utility fees, tax increment financing districts, transportation development districts, and of course the cigarette alcohol tax. All these are ways to fund transit and other infrastructure, highways, and these are acceptable to a lot of the general public. We just haven't really tested them all. But there are ways to do it, and if you put them all together, you really have a good package. Of course, local funding, transit is already utilized. We do all these things already. It's not just federal, it's not just state. The general fund, we take numbers right out of our state and city budgets. Fares and ticket sales. Did you know the user pays directly to ride buses? 25% fare box return. There's a perception out there that highways are free. Well, they're not really. We all know that. But transit's not free, folks. That the user pays in. Even if they can't afford it, they still have to pay to ride the bus. Advertising, that's something. We sell bus panels. We put ads on shelters that raises revenue. We have contracts and purchase of service, so we do deal with the private sector to help lower our costs. We lease out our properties, we sell concessions, and very quickly we use special funds like hospitality in Greenville. That's how we're helping to finance our new trolley service downtown. It's very popular. And of course, the P public-private partnerships. Did you all know that the Greenville drivers are partnered with the Greenville trolley? They pay for the local match on the purchase of the trolley. So we have a great partnership with them, with St. Francis Hospital for another service, and Clemson University. So we're very proud of working with private partners as we go through our business of running transit. And of course, very quickly, how a regional system operates. Every city is a hub, basically with the trunk line to the adjacent city. And every city is protected of their own transit. Clemson's protected of theirs, Greenville's protected of theirs. But cooperation is linking them together with the trunk line. And we already have that. Our trunk line, Clemson to Greenville, stops them easily. So easily, all of a sudden, has a little bit of public transit. And so each city maintains ownership, Spartanburg, Anderson, Clemson, Greenville, Gaffney. We can all connect them to the regional system. And big dollars in economic return, more state dollars and federal dollars come to South Carolina and the Upstate. And of course, I'm going to end with the model that is used in the Research Triangle and Triangle of Raleigh, Durham, Chapel Hill. They have a new system there called Triangle Transit that connects the three cities. They are today looking at light rail and streetcar as a way to connect. So you've got to start small with buses, but eventually you'll get that higher dollar and very presentable form of transit. The Triad, by the way, is Winston-Salem, Greensboro, and High Point, and they are linked by a system called HARP, Piedmont Area Regional Transit. So we can do it. The apparatus is in place. And with that, I think I want to turn this over to Keith Scott.
Thank you very much for having us here. My name is Keith Scott. I'm the Transit Director for the City of Anderson's Electric City Transit. I've been with the city for 20 years. I'm also the Vice President of our state association, which was formerly the Transportation Association of South Carolina. That we rebranded ourselves a little over a year ago, and we are now the South Carolina Alliance for Mobile Infrastructure. We felt like that fit a little bit more with what we were doing. We're part of the infrastructure system, and we feel like part of the solution as well. Our alliance, we represent 27 public transportation systems, local governments, state agencies, private providers, and vendors. We are also committed to moving transportation forward in all 46 counties across the state. We know that our roads and we know that our bridges are in poor shape. And we agree that, that something must be done before it costs us dearly. But we also know that that type of infrastructure is fixed. Even when it's funded, it may take up to 20 years to complete. But there is a transportation system out there, and it's flexible and it's adaptable. It grows to meet the needs of those who utilize it, changing quickly as South Carolina's populations grow and shifts. That mobile infrastructure is your state's public transportation systems. We feel like that our association helps to steer things in the right direction. South Carolina's public transportation systems are remarkably efficient, providing more than 12.6 million passenger trips per year. In all, the state's 27 public transportation providers operate on a combined budget of approximately $60 million. Of that, only $6 million comes from the state. The same cost that it takes to just add 2 lanes to 1 mile of an existing 4-lane interstate. That's all we get, $6 million. There are 4 major benefits for public transportation. One of those is the economic benefits. It helps reduce the vehicle miles traveled on our roads, reduces the need for new roads, saves commuters nearly $1 million a year in lost time and excess fuel costs. I know some of the information might have been shared earlier, but Greg and I didn't meet before this. So if some of these are duplicated, I apologize. But sitting in traffic costs average South Carolina commuter more than $650 per year in lost time and wasted fuel. By a conservative estimate, South Carolinians spend an extra 21 million hours a year just sitting in traffic. Car and truck emissions are now the biggest contributor to poor air quality. And new EPA standards and regulations could cost South Carolina billions of dollars because of it. Traffic congestion pours more than 200 million more pounds of CO2 in South Carolina's air. Then there are environmental benefits. Just as a side note to that, this month, the City of Anderson will have a bid on the street that we will be purchasing our first 2 CNG buses. We have worked with Piedmont Natural Gas over the last year and a half. And Piedmont Natural Gas is now installing a fast-fill CNG station on 28 Bypass in Anderson. So we will be able to utilize that station to fill our buses. So we will be one of the first systems in South Carolina to operate compressed natural gas buses, helping our environment. Lowers emissions, saves millions of gallons of fuel, and reduces the demand for fuel. There are also social benefits. A robust system provides mobility for those without cars and those who choose not to drive, including workers, students, persons with disabilities, senior citizens, and others. On the average, people outlive their ability to drive by 10 years for women and 7 years for men. Public transportation expands mobility for these senior citizens. It connects our urban and our rural areas of our communities. It opens up the rural areas and makes it accessible to come in for better jobs, for good jobs. We know a lot of our small rural systems around South Carolina, a lot of them were built around the textile industries and the factories that were in their small areas. When those factories and those industries closed, those small towns just about evaporated, just about went to nothing. Well, this is an opportunity to connect some of those folks to the other areas. It provides a way to get to work, to school, to healthcare, places of worship, shopping, and more. As our state leaders and policymakers debate and evaluate the state's current needs for maintenance and expansion and plans for the future, it just makes sense to include a small investment for public transportation as part of the solution. The social, economic, and environmental value of public transportation is just too far great to ignore. Thank you very much.
Wow. What a great information and insight we've gathered today about this daunting yet critical issue to the current and future growth of the upstate of South Carolina. After hearing from Governor Rendell and other speakers, I hope that you join me in having a renewed commitment to helping the upstate and South Carolina get past the failure to act, and to work to ensure that transportation and infrastructure move from being a detrimental piece of our success to a key component of our success as a leading place to live, learn, do business, and raise a family. I want to thank all of our speakers, and especially thank Secretary Riley for joining us today. I also want to again thank Building America's Future and American Society of Civil Engineers for helping to make today's program possible. Also, we want to thank Keith and Mark for your comments on public transit. As we wrap up, I want to call attention to our upcoming events highlighted in your program. I hope you will join us as we have our series on shaping our future. That is May 19th, and the Upstate Regional Forum looking at innovation in the changing landscape of healthcare on June 2nd. Both of those events will be at Crown Plaza Hotel along I-385, and you can register to attend those through the 10 at the Top website. I also hope that you will mark June 18th on your calendar and plan to join us for the second Getting to Know Our Neighbors Upstate bus tour. I had the great pleasure of doing the bus tour to Greenwood last month, and it was amazing to see all that they had accomplished, mainly because they are a community working together. So we look forward to going to Union County on June 18th and seeing the great things happening there. We are limiting this trip to 33, so please register and join us to be a part of that wonderful day in Union. I also want to thank our sponsors for this forum again: Blue Cross Blue Shield of South Carolina, GSA Business, Greenville Health System, Brown Mackie College, Community Works Carolina, Greenville Spartanburg International Airport, and the Rutland Institute for Ethics at Clemson University, as well as Shaping Our Future series sponsor Ups Forever, Greater Greenville Association of Realtors, Upstate South Carolina Alliance, the Riley Institute at Furman University, and 10 at the Top. Also, special thanks again to R.P. Roman and J&H Hotels for their tremendous hospitality, and let's give him a big hand.